20 years ago, I pushed one of my dreams to the side. I tucked away a desire. It wasn't intentional, it just happened. 20 years ago, I was finishing up high school. And in high school, I had taken a woodshop elective for a couple of semesters. And I loved it. It's one of the few things that I wanted to keep doing. I wanted to do woodworking. I wanted to make furniture and wood boxes and wood toys. I wanted to continue to see raw wood transform into something else. Transform by my very own hands. But, as is the case so often, life happened, and I didn't pursue it anymore. Well, not creative woodworking anyway. I did a lot of renovation type projects as I bought and sold properties and managed rentals. I did a lot of home improvement projects on our own houses. So I was buying and using tools, but it wasn't the same thing. And I never got back into woodworking. Now, woodworking to me is small scale, in a shop, not part of a bigger renovation. It's making things out of wood simply for the joy of making them. It's not a high volume, big production undertaking, and I never wanted it to be a career or even something that I made any money on. I just wanted to make things. And so, like I said, life moved on. I did different jobs and went to a couple years of college. I got married at age 22. We bought a house 5 years later. We had our first child, a girl, a year after that. 2.5 years more, and we welcomed our second child, a boy. I continued pursuing real estate as a realtor, and also buying, renting, renovating, and selling my own properties. At one point, I even tried doing YouTube. That lasted for about 30 days. My wife pursued her work as a portrait photographer, ramping it up before the kiddos came along and slowing down the amount of work she took as the kids got older. Life was good. We were enjoying the life we had built. I'm not complaining, but the desire to be able to do woodworking never went away. It was always sitting back there, out of sight, but not always out of mind. Then something happened a couple of years ago. I was laying flooring in a house that I was getting ready to sell, and I just couldn't figure out why I was doing what I was doing. We were doing pretty good financially at this point, and I found no joy in doing these renovations myself anymore. So, I pivoted. I started hiring out the work instead of doing it myself. The problem was, I didn't know what to do with myself instead. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up. I tried partnering up with someone else to do real estate, and that was a complete and utter disaster. I tried options and day trading, also to no avail. And then I had a breakthrough moment this year, shortly after our 16th anniversary. In talking about our plans for the future, I asked my wife Keely if we'd still be in the same house in 16 years. And, if so, what will we look back on in 16 more years, wishing we would have done to the house now? She didn't really have an answer. And honestly, I didn't either. Except for a small nagging desire to be able to do woodworking again. So my answer became that I would look back and wish that I had someplace to do woodworking. Now, we have a very small garage, about 200 square feet. I had looked into getting a larger one built, but the cost was too prohibitive. So I'd had this thought before, wishing that I had had a shop space at home that I could work in. It wasn't a new desire, but for some reason, this time I decided I was going to do something about it. And so, I spent the next 3 weeks or so making the most out of my little space. I bought some tools, specifically so I could start to make things again. I sold some stuff that we weren't using. I cleared some clutter. I added some storage. I added some insulation and extra outlet. And most importantly of all, I started making things. So here I am, 38 years old, bringing back a desire, a dream that has sat on the back shelf of my life for over 20 years, and I'm loving it. I love being able to head out of my house, take a few steps, and enter my workshop, what's becoming my special place. And instead of looking at a cluttered mess with no real usable work area, it is clean and organized and set up so that I can actually make things. I love that my family can come out and see what I'm working on. I love that my son pops in and out asking if he can help. It's also inspired him to make some things too. Woodworking to me is taking a piece of wood that has no real use or value to it, holding it in my hands and using those hands to make it transform into something else, something useful, something beautiful, or something fun. It's almost like magic, taking a two-dimensional object and bringing it to three-dimensional life. It's a creative release. It's something that I can do by myself in my own little corner of this crazy world and produce something. Produce something simply because I wanted to produce it. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not trying to make a living doing it. It doesn't have to be expensive to make. The raw wood can be cheap or even free. And it's something that, if I want to, I can do for the rest of my life. 20 years ago, I pushed one of my dreams to the side. And 20 years later, I'm picking it up again. Thanks for watching.